to all you listeners out there. Welcome to a third episode of Global Women Enrichment Podcast. Today, we will have the lovely Payola Pear, and she will be our host today talking to you about current events. Payola Pear, take it away.
Thank you, Vinoya. It's a pleasure for me to be here today. We are going to talk the topics. We're going to have a few, but basically it's going to be current events. Current event means coronavirus, what we go through, how it affects our life professionally, mentally, and socially. And then I am not going to mention the mental aspect of it because I'm not a professional in that sense, but about being in the human resources field where we have employees, where we have that deal with the family members doing different things, and then you can see how it affects our life. And then the social aspect of it is just like it's just not being able to go out to do things with family members, to do things, to socialize with friends, to visit friends, because we have that fear that if we go, and then to me, my fear is just like, we have today over 200,000 deaths, that happen. What if I'm one of them? So best thing to do is just like stay away, social distancing, and then not being involved too much with anyone socially. For work, it has affected us a lot. I mean, like we have some people that have been laid off. We have people that have been that are on furlough. Even myself at the city, we were 2 days on furlough during the summer. And then for someone that doesn't make much, you can imagine the financial impact that has how it affects, someone financially like that. We have people that were the laid off, at least they were able to go to unemployment, but still it's not enough knowing that you don't have a job to go to. And then people that were also work for small businesses, which I'm involved in the Chamber of Commerce, how we were not ready to really face an event like that. And then not knowing how long it's going to last either. Because the businesses that were face to face, we went to phase one, having issues with we closed, the restaurant were closed, and then we have so many. In my case, I deal with more with Haitian businesses, and then the restaurant they were phase one and closed. It was only takeout. Can you imagine? You didn't have the takeout, and then it was a sitting. You have the gym that no one could not go to the gym because they were closed for so many months. And then the fight, and then to get people to apply for loans, for the PPP loan, SBA loan, reading to find out what's going on to get those people basically connected, involved, letting them know what's going on. Because some of them, remember, we come from this world where everything was like face to face. You were with that person all the time, and then not being able to have that. And then I would say my people, when I speak as my people, the Haitian community, I would say, did not have the online access too much because it was dealing in a one-on-one, and then not having. So now we have to shift this from being the physically in contact and then trying to now learn a new world, which is the online world, how to shop, how to do different things in the business. So that's the COVID aspect of it. And then we're also talking about, when I mean, other factors that affect, we have a census that was done. The deadline for the census was, cut me if I'm going too fast or too detailed. The census, the deadline was supposed to be, to start in April. COVID happened. We didn't do it that much. We extended to July, thinking that COVID again was going to stop right there, and then not slowing down, not to stop because we had no idea, and then until today. So they extended again to September, and it was a back and forth with Congress, and then with the president wanted it. So we had to do so many things to make sure that it was extended for us to have enough people. Because for not having a count, because every 10 years it's done, the census is done every 10 years, you have 10 years. So population change, people move, people move, so we have more, and then needs have changed as well. So by not having a normal complete count to know exactly what your community will need, so it's like, it's a big loss and a big gap for us as far as our families, our schools, our businesses, how it's operate, because the fund will not be coming to our community, because if we don't have what you say, the complete count. For months we went over and over trying to get the numbers up, but they were not. And then you'll be surprised. And some of the areas that did not really focus too much in the census, you're talking about Miami Beach, they have like a low turnout, getting the numbers off, because people were there, the hotels were closed, the restaurants were closed, so we didn't have enough numbers to bring it up to see exactly what the population is right now, up to date from when it was 10 years ago in 2010, and then bring it over to 2020. So that affected us big time. So we're not just waiting to see how it is, the changes from where we were before and then where we were now. And then we're talking even with the election, and that's another topic also. Election, when we started going for, to help, to assist, to do canvassing, to get people out, to vote, to do different things, but it was hard. COVID again, you see how it affects us? It's not only mental, I'm not even gonna go that topic because I'm not a professional in that. Professionally, people lose, their job, development, professional, and then social, mental, and then so many other factors that affect us globally, locally, and nationally. So we are living it. We don't even know how long it's going to last. So this is where we are today. So we can continue. I don't want to be the only one talking. I want to hear from you, Sandra, while you see it from the health aspect of it, healthcare aspect, and then you're in the healthcare. So I want to hear what you have to say about it.
Well, this pandemic has been a shocker for all of us. We would rather not go through this. But it's real, it's here, and my philosophy is we need to learn to live with it. We need to embrace it. It needs to be a part of our fiber, and whatever we need to do to control it so that we are not getting sick, that's what we need to do. It's a simple thing. Wear your mask, wash your hands, be very clean, and it has forced us to remove ourselves from the intimacies of relationships. I think about when I was growing up. I knew my parents loved me, but not because they were hugging me all the time. And I think it's coming to this culture, and I credit the culture of the United States and my Hispanic brothers and sisters, particularly in the church, who taught me how to hug. And we hugged each other all the time. We greeted each other with hugs. So that now when we come to each other, we don't even stop and think if this person would want us to hug them. We just hug. That's how we greet each other. And we sandwich it in the scripture that says, greet each other with a holy kiss. And we're hugging and kissing each other. But COVID has forced us all to step back. And I think even though COVID has taken so many lives, and we don't minimize that in any way, it is what it is. Lives have been stolen and families have been changed because of this virus, the devastation of the COVID-19 virus. And yet out of it has come so many good things. There have been nuggets of good, even in the loss of jobs and the loss of family. We've also seen families coming together. And people have been forced to deal with each other in their homes and to reunite and to renew relationships. Unfortunately, some relationships have been lost. But some families have come together, husbands and wives, parents and children. One of the sad things out of it is the impact it has had on our children in the culture, and how schools have been affected, the attendance at schools, our teachers, the impact it has had on our teachers. Some of our teachers have had early retirement or have given up their profession because of the fear and the anxiety of what this COVID can do to them. And that's something we have to deal with. We've seen our children who are so resilient learn to do school online, do school from a distance, And we have seen that our children can get infected with COVID, and thankfully, many of them have pulled through it. And we're hoping that this will continue to be the trend, and that as we begin to accept and embrace new ways of living with this enemy among us, within us, in our families, in our homes, that as we learn to live with it, we'll find safe ways of being. For some who are more extroverted and social and want to be out there, it's not been fun being locked up and being away from the usual flow of life. But we have some introverts who have discovered that they're very happy being at home and being away from the crowd. You know, I have a son like that who is actually very happy learning from home and doing Miami School Online, and he has enjoyed that and would like it to continue for him. He is in his element, not being in the environment that he's not comfortable in, where he goes through anxiety. But being home in his own safe space, he's blooming and blossoming. So I think we need to balance the effect and the impact of coronavirus and what it has taught us. We have to find the lessons and pull out the diamonds out of the pain and the struggle. I'm reminded of what our guest speaker said a week ago when she presented, that it's through the pain that we find our glory. You know, and I think the COVID virus is a painful story. And yet we have many who would testify of their glorious experiences out of this virus.
That's so true. Yeah, mine is I enjoy being home. You know, a few weeks ago, I told you ladies that how long I've been out all the time serving, volunteering, doing all that. So now it's just like, oh my God, I'm home. You know, my hair doesn't have to be done, my nails, and then, you know, it's just like so comfortable. And then the work that you need to do from home, like, you know, project that you postponed for so many years. And then so earlier you were talking about your tech, you know, so like having all this done now, having time, finding time.
Right, finding time.
Yeah,
Exactly.
so that's a good point. Ms. Venoria?
Yes, definitely there are pros and cons from COVID-19. Especially with us women, we found out that we don't really need to need makeup. You put on your mask and that's it, or you just do your eyebrows, just the top of your forehead, and that's it. It's the same thing like when we are having meetings, business meetings. We dress from the top above because that's where the Zoom is going to capture.
Focus.
So we don't really have to dress in what should I say, in elegant attire, except from the waist up. For me, my lifestyle has become just going to Publix and Walgreens, two things that are necessary, food and medication.
So now I do Instacart. I don't know if you order online. And then
No,
so
I have not done that.
Yes.
And the reason that I have not done that is because I like to actually examine the meat before I purchase it, because it's not all meat that's there that looks good. Some of the meat look like it has, like browning or something to it. So I like to examine my meat before I purchase it. If it was just like dry goods, then I wouldn't have a problem doing that. But because there's so many different things that you purchase,
there's stuff that you have to be there
that you have to be there
do.
physically to look at.
But you always work from home.
And I've always worked from home.
So what's the difference for you with the pandemic? Like being
with the pandemic, the only
Yes.
difference is when I have meetings, I cannot go out to have meetings and meet the clients. I have to do Zoom meetings. So that's the only difference. But I've always worked from home for quite a few years now. So for that aspect, there was no adjustment for me with that. But at the same time, I use going to Publix and going to Walgreens just to get out of the house. My husband and I know the restaurants are back open, but we chose not to go and sit in to dine out. We choose to just order and pick up.
That's good.
So,
That's
so
safe. That's
so
yeah.
we
That's
still
safer
having,
like that. Yeah.
yeah,
You support the businesses by
yes,
ordering the
by
food,
ordering the
but at the
food,
same
but
time you
eating
aim
it at
for more.
home.
Yes. Yes. That's
Exactly.
good. Yes.
So
That's
that's
good. Yeah.
basically it. And my daughter is all the way on the West Coast, and I have a beautiful little grandson. And I said to him one day, "When are you
Aw.
coming to visit me?" And he said, "I'm not coming to Florida, Grandma." And I said, "Why?" He said, "Because it has germs." Because Florida has now become like the epic center of COVID-19. But we have to look at it that we have to be patient, and we just have to do what's being take the advice of the scientists and the medical professionals, and just stay safe, continue to wash our hands. And if you really look at it, some of the things that they're telling us to do, simple washing of hands, that is supposed to be something that we have always done. Just exactly. So,
Since the pandemic, I've been working in Coconut Grove with my mentor every week. We go in the morning, do like 7, 10, miles, also 5 to 7 miles a week. And then it's funny though, last week when I was there, I saw more and more people out. I was like, Henry, they're coming out. It was like, it seems like, they were invaded my space. I had for 8 months, I was going there, like, like not that many people, not too crowded, but it was like, why are they out? This is my time. So it's
Right.
you become like selfish in a way that, we don't want to share our time or space with people. You see them and then put the mask and then put it down. At work, I have to do contact tracing for people because in HR, when they call, they are been exposed, and you ask them where. Some of them don't even know how because they are not being careful. So it's just like getting, and then you have to close the department. You have to have it sanitized. You have to have everyone go for testing. And then just because they don't even know how it happened to them and then where they've been. So that's a problem. I don't know how, do you do this at the office? Do you send them or your staff is there? I know it's a medical office, medical center, but how do you do it with patients?
So, very interesting, a very interesting question. I will tell you that my boss is so forward thinking that by the time the schools were closed, we closed right after them in March. And he figured out how we could do telehealth, telemedicine.
Yes.
And so we were home from March to June doing telemedicine. We did not miss a beat, we did not miss a day. We stopped all vacations and we all dug our heels in and took care of our patients. And we began to make preparations to return to the office, which we did in June. And there's social distancing in the office. Everybody had their own space. Who could work from home, who we could have work from home, continued to work from home. And then in the office, everybody had their own space. We practiced social distancing in the office. His office and my office and the front desk, we all have plexiglasses, so nobody is speaking directly in your face. We wear masks when we come into the office. Temperatures are checked at the door, just to give us an idea, not that you have the virus, but if somebody's temperature is raised, you ask the question, how are you feeling? And we take it from there. And then as we have watched the trends of the pandemic, now I will tell you that there's a lot on the news and most people follow the news. We make calls to our colleagues in the hospital. And depending on what the numbers are in the hospital, that's how we gauge where the virus is and the severity or the virility of what's going on in our communities that we serve. We began seeing patients in the office. We do a screening before they come in. We do not have waiting rooms with people sitting together waiting to see the providers. We have them spaced out. We have 4 providers, and everything is spaced out so that nobody's patients are colliding with anybody else's patients. And as
But
long
you have a
as
backlog as well, because since you don't see as many people as
but
before.
we're doing telemedicine.
That's true. That's
So
true.
we
Yes.
bring in the people who really struggle with technology. So at first we were trying to do telemedicine with everyone, but we have our population that's challenged, whether it is from health literacy perspective or from a technology perspective. They can't connect with whatever platform we're using to do the telemedicine. And so gradually we've begun to bring people into the office again. And it's been fun. I missed the face-to-face with my patients. And then when it was time to bring them back, you had a lot of anxiety because you don't know who people are exposed to. You've been so protective of yourself, and now you're exposing yourself to somebody else's world again. But so far, thank God, we haven't had any issues. Our staff have done well, and we've done testing when we think we need to, but thankfully nobody has been sick, and we've been able to continue doing what we do and taking care of our patients.
Yeah, thank you.
You know.
And it's funny though, we have one pandemic, one current event, and then that has so many effect on our lives, in everything that we do. Work wise, being able. I don't remember the last time I hugged someone because it was like, stay away from me. I got the elbow or something. It's not because I don't. My daughter at home, of course. So, I was like, okay, where have you been? How was work today? So it's just like staying away. And then so we are kind of like, stepping back from the human contact that, we're so much in need of. And then to not having this, I'm afraid that, we're going to get so used to it and then not going back again to what was to be our normal.
Right.
Many, this is a new normal. That's not the normal that we're used to.
I don't think there's any going back.
Yes.
I think this is a new being.
Yes.
A new way of being. And it has taught us that there's so many things we don't need to do. We have discovered that we can function without some of the things that had us grounded. Technology has just we have saved money. There was 3 months I didn't drive my car. I didn't know that I could have gas that lasts a month.
Yeah, save money by not going to the beauty salon, by not doing this, and then sitting at the restaurant for months to eat. And then, so all those things just stop. So what did I do? I invested money in the house. I do a little project, my backyard. And then, so being able to, because if you spend time home, that's where your well-being, mental well-being
Many
should
people
be.
have discovered different talents that they did not know that they had, so.
That's true.
Yeah, it has the good and the bad.
Yeah.
So we just have to find the good in everything.
I think we should acknowledge that it's been a stressful year.
That I agree.
But there have been some positives even in the darkness.
Yes.
And the fact that this was an election year, in addition to the pandemic, has been extremely stressful and painful for many families. The literature is rich with the data that an election year by itself is very depressing on the society, and you put that with the pandemic, and as providers, as healthcare providers, we are positioned to assess our patients for the impact of the stress that both the pandemic and the election has brought to people's lives. The good news is the election is over, and the good news is we can get that part of the stress out, and we can begin to live in our new society. Whichever side you are on is irrelevant. We have a new society we have to live in and learn to love each other again and care for each other and help each other. And the pandemic is forcing us to care for each other and love each other and to do the little things that it takes to show love for our neighbors. And I think regardless of what you think or feel, we need to do that. We have to find ways in the middle of the devastation to show care in ways. I think back to Hurricane Andrew. When our boys were born, they were babies.
They were babies.
And we didn't know our neighbors.
You have Andrew baby too. My daughter was born in August.
Both our sons are born the same month, 2 days apart. So they were 3 months at the time.
Yeah, we call them Hurricane Andrew babies.
And it's amazing. We didn't know our neighbors, but everybody came together in the community.
Yes.
And we cared for each other. And I think the season of COVID has forced us to care for each other again, and to find ways to extend a hand and to be
Right.
kind to each other. Now that the divisiveness of who is Republican and who is Democrat or who is independent, we are one people,
Yes.
one America.
Right.
And so we need to love each other through this and to care for each other and to be aware of the mental strain that this nation has been through this year. And we don't know what the future holds, but we'll be here to hold hands.
Right.
My daughter is in DC, and luckily she came to Miami to a wedding in mid-March. She wasn't able to travel. As a teacher, she was able to do it online, so she stayed home. And then by mid-July, she went back. That was the first time in 10 years I had my daughter for that long at home.
Wow.
So it was such a blessing to have
You
her.
see?
Yes, yes.
Aw.
It was like, oh my God, I have my baby back. Although
yes.
she's 28, she was going to be 28, but it was still my baby. Anyway, this was beautiful, and then there's so much to talk about.
So
The
many
COVID
things,
and one topic, and then for so many other things, fell under it. And then thank you. It has been an honor, a pleasure. And then good night, everyone.
Thank you, Payola. Before we close, please note for next week's episode on Saturday, December 19th, in honor of the holidays, we will have live musical entertainment. More information is forthcoming concerning the artist. But until then, stay safe and see you next week.